Group Managing Director for a company called AIPGlobal. Has anyone heard of us? Don't worry, we're like Spectre, you wouldn't expect it. We have other companies under our brand, such as JobNissit outside. Who knows JobNissit? Okay, it's a job matching platform. Anyway, and a couple of schools in our portfolio as well. We're a multi-corporate social enterprise, but you can have a look more about us on AIPGlobal.co, the website. So what I want to share with you today is a topic called intrapreneurship. Has anyone heard of that? Yes?
Yeah, so it's like entrepreneurship within the organization. It's like entrepreneurship is not like starting your own business. It's anyone who is a manager, employee who's gathering resources and doing something not done before. So that can be within the organization, outside, it doesn't matter.
Give him a round of applause. That's correct, yes. So most of you guys, have you started doing an internship or doing some kind of work experience already?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so this is a great time for you then to know more about intrapreneurship. Are you still currently doing your working experience? No? Yes, no, okay. Some of you. So this is how to be an entrepreneur basically. Again, my disclaimer to you is that you might find some of this useful, you might find some of it not so useful, but I want to keep this quite interactive. AIESEC asked me to pull this together in 2 days, so I don't expect a miracle here. Alright, intrapreneur analysis. So I want to run through a case study with you on who or what the word comes from, intrapreneurship. Can anyone tell me, do you know where it came from? Okay. So, intrapreneur, yes, is basically working inside of a company like an entrepreneur. But we'll go through those steps in a minute for you. So, the definition for entrepreneurship, as found on dictionary.com, and intrapreneurship definition. I think I have to read it from my paper so I get this right. Yeah, there we go. A person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. So, your parents, let's take those for example then. Do they work for companies? Just a show of hands. Whose parents started their own business? Okay, so they're entrepreneurs, yeah? And I guess the rest of you guys, your parents work for companies then. So entrepreneur is a French word. It means to enter, to initiate, to start something new, to start a risk, be it financial or otherwise. Intrapreneur. This is what you said, yeah? An employee of a large corporation who is given freedom and financial support to create new products, services, systems, and does not have to follow the corporation's usual routine or protocol. All right? Does that make sense to you? Sort of? Basically, I'm an intrapreneur. I was given this job. I have the freedom to do what I need to do. And the people inside my company as well are also intrapreneurs. We have our own little division, a bit like, who's heard of Google Moonshot for Google X? No one? No? Google X is their little black ops division there of Google where they can do things like self-driving cars. And those are things that are not usual to what Google is, but they get to do things outside of their normal routine. Does anyone know who this guy is? Give the pin shot. He's the guy who coined the phrase intrapreneur. So again, you know, he worked for a big company and he had autonomy to do whatever he needed to do for that company, basically. So he coined the phrase intrapreneurship back in 19 87, I believe, 84. Yeah. Do you know who these guys are? You've got to be living in a cave if you didn't, right? So, did you know that Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak worked for HP, Hewlett Packard? Yeah? I mean, that was on your Facebook page, right? And their initial idea that they took to HP got rejected by HP. So then they set up Apple. Can you imagine then? If HP took their idea, there might not be no Apple today. So these two are entrepreneurs, or they started off as entrepreneurs. Here's a basic table for you, just to look at. Does anyone have any questions on that? I won't run through it for you. Any questions? No? You happy with that? Yeah? Okay. Does everyone know who Richard Branson is? Yeah. Has anyone flew Virgin? Yeah? No, it's expensive, I can't afford to fly it. So he said here, many millions of people proudly claim the title entrepreneur. But on the other hand, there's a entrepreneur's little sister here, there's intrapreneur. That doesn't get the same, or little brother, doesn't get the same recognition as an entrepreneur does. So, yeah, he says it's an employee who is given freedom and financial support to create new products, services, and systems. Basically, Virgin Group wouldn't be where it is today without having intrapreneurs in their company. And I'll give you an example of somebody inside the Virgin Group here. In a minute. There you go. So, Virgin couldn't have grown to the size of 200 companies. Yeah. Unless it had entrepreneurs in there already. Okay? Following so far? Feel free to just shout out if you don't understand. So, Joe Ferry. If any of you had the luxury of flying upper class in Virgin, this is the guy that designed those seats. So he was instructed by Virgin to come up with an innovative way to save space but also maximize comfort in the planes, in Virgin planes. And Virgin spent millions and millions of dollars asking architectures, interior design and architecture to come up with them, and they couldn't come up with anything. He said, give it to me and I think I can give it a shot. So that's what Richard Branson did, that he gave him the authority to come up with a new design, and this is what he came up with. A herringbone. Has anyone flown like this? Yeah, so it's like a fish bone. You're not encroaching with the person behind you, so you can lie flat. So that's, can you imagine, Virgin, they're spending a lot of money to these interior designers here, and they couldn't come up with anything. And then this guy, Joe Ferry, yeah, give it to me, I'll do it. So he took the risk. He actually said, I want to do it. So that is an entrepreneur. How about this guy? Does anyone want to guess? No? Okay, Ken here, he used to work for Nintendo. Yes? He used to work for the Nintendo company, and yeah, this machine here, what is that, a Game Boy? Something. Yeah. He came home to his 9-year-old daughter and tried to make the processing more faster for her, right? But he found a way to make it quick. So then he took it to Nintendo, Nintendo were going to fire him because he's not allowed to speak up in Japanese culture, and Sony took it on. But so he's the guy that created the Sony PlayStation. So I think he's the chairman now. He started off as a scientist working in Nintendo, and then now he's the chairman of Sony PlayStation, or was. He's retired now. So a lot of us, you know, he thinks like this, and you think about thinking outside the box, yeah, when you're doing these things. But how many of us really know what that means? Thinking outside the box. Do you want to make a guess?
Thinking outside the box maybe means that you think in a different way from the other people, and you try to make some innovative ideas.
Yes. Okay. That's correct. There's a lot of explanation behind it. Thinking outside the box is probably the most simplest form to explain it. Scientifically, it's known as lateral thinking. You can search that up yourself as well. I can tell you loads of stories about lateral thinking. But just to give you an exercise here, 2 minutes. Have you got pen and paper? All of you? You don't have?
Yes.
Yeah, where's your pen and paper? Right, make sure everyone's got a pen and paper. So while they're handing that around, I'll read you the definition here. Thinking outside of the box requires openness to new ways of seeing the world and willingness to explore. New ideas need nurturing and support. So we've all heard of the word or the term thinking outside of the box, but what does it actually mean? So now we're going to try it for yourself. This is an exercise that Disney, if you want to work for Disney, I'm not talking about going and working in the Mickey Mouse outfit and going across Disneyland. I'm talking about being an Imagineer, the people that create the rides and those dreams for the children. So they give this exercise to their new staff at Disney. So the objective of the exercise is quite simply to draw a box of dots, and you have to connect the dots with the lines. So if you draw 9 dots in 3 rows, down by 3, so you have to connect all dots. Okay, you're not allowed to take your pen off the paper. And you're not allowed to go back on yourself either. So position your pencil on one of the dots and do not allow the pencil to come off the paper. Try to connect all the dots with only 4 lines with one continuous flow. Tip is to think outside the box. 2 minutes, off you go. I got given this test as well. I failed it 9 times. Then I begged them to take me. Hello. All right, are you ready for the answer? I think most of you already know anyway, so the end. Yeah, there you go. Did you get that? You did. Did you? No. Don't worry, I didn't get it either. You hear the word think outside the box, again, you don't really know. But yeah, that's basically what it means in a nutshell. So there you go, anyone who could do that, you've passed your first round into working at Disney. Congratulations. Okay. So now we've talked about what is an entrepreneur and the definition between the two. You're probably asking now, why? Right, why should I be an entrepreneur and not an entrepreneur? Right? What do I get out of it? That's probably what you might be saying. First one, entrepreneurs earn while they learn. You've all paid to study, right? You paid tuition fees. But you have to learn it, right? You've lost already. Sorry. If you're an entrepreneur, you can work, so you get paid, and you also learn at the same time. Isn't that fantastic? Any questions on that? No? Yeah? What kind of job? I'll go through that in a minute. Entrepreneur is the definition that you can apply to any job. Be it, you know, a shopkeeper, an office worker, administrator. But if you ever have an ambition to go above that, and you want to work, make your way up the corporate ladder, you need to have this kind of mindset to do that. Did you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah?
I would like to add something.
Yeah?
Actually, everyone might be interested in being an entrepreneur, but I wanted to know from the owner side, would they be interested to give us chances so that we can create like a better service or product? So to be an entrepreneur, it's not only depends on us, it also depends on the company side of the owner.
Absolutely. And we'll cover that at there's a slide at the end here that basically covers what kind of organization, what kind of environment nurtures entrepreneurship. So we'll go through that later on. They tend to be top performers and excel in the corporate environment here. So, you know, for me, it's about never settling. How many of you are Thai, sorry? Just, not so many of you. Okay. You're all probably westernized, right? You're doing an international education, yeah? Can I say that? Right. It frustrates me then when I go to 7-Eleven and I ask for something and they go, may I? Maybe. But they haven't even looked for it. They don't even go back into the stock room and see if they have it. Don't have. No have.
No have.
Yeah. No have. Yeah. So again, they wouldn't be entrepreneurs in this instance. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and work at 7-Eleven, and by the way, you know, the grandchildren, they put them in there as well at 7-Eleven, the owners. You would know anyway because they will go above and beyond what their normal duty is, right? They would literally bend over backwards to get you that packet of Lay's crisps that you wanted. Only for 30 baht. They would. They face far less risk. And you know, you get to play with the company's money, don't you? You don't get knocked down for that. They encourage you to innovate and to perform and to execute. So risk is something that they don't face, or they face less of it. So the skills that you have developed then as an entrepreneur, if you want to go down this route, starting off in any company, you can be an entrepreneur. How many of you have developed patience? Can you explain?
Well, I started with just like my everyday routine, just like being like disciplined, have the best discipline. Yeah, I think it's like a lot of patience, and that's how like I use my willpower for that. I think that's like a lot of patience.
Yeah. Okay. You?
Actually, let's talk about patience. I feel like I tend to not make something to rush, because I feel like with rushing things, and sometimes we're too hungry for the result.
Yeah.
Sometimes because if you do things too fast, it might make that thing, it might make the result to not turn out to how we like it to be.
Mm.
And yeah, so I mean, patience is a very major thing when you work.
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
I get pissed off
Yeah.
in my job. There's two things that we do in our company, and I try to drum that in. It's innovation and execution. What's the point of dreaming up something if you're not going to do anything about it, right? Anyone can dream up an idea, but if you're not going to do anything about it, then what's the point? You can share it, you can write it down, but it all comes from the execution, as well. I say fail fast. It doesn't matter if it's perfect as long as you're trying. That's what I say. So it frustrates me a lot in my company too, when we're coming up with new services to try to better ourselves and better the consumer, the students as well. And we have to follow protocol. There are procedures in place, of course. So when there's delays in the pipeline, then that frustrates me a lot. I can give you an example. We're trying to set up a new academy right now, but obviously we have to wait until a new office is open. And it's not our fault necessarily, because we're waiting for the new building to be finished. That's major, by the way, if you want to blame anyone. Major development. Okay. Ambition. What does that mean? How many of you have heard of the word ambition or ambitious? Yes?
Yeah.
What is it? I don't want to ask you guys that you ambition, somebody else. Yes?
Passionate.
Passionate. What does that mean?
Like you are happy what you do. That you how you reflect yourself. You like maybe euphoria, but you push yourself to move forward.
Yeah.
To achieve your goals
Mm-hmm.
and success.
That's never settling. I used to work in the bank in England. My job there was 9 to 5. Now there's other people in the team that work 9 to 5. Come in at 9, finish at 5, take 1 hour for lunch. Would you call them ambitious? No. So I had to do something to make myself ambitious, right? I started at 7, I finished at 9, every day. I didn't get any recognition for it, but I did it. Until the very last end, I'd say, they promoted me. They gave me a lot of awards. They took me, they gave me an education, I'd say as well. They paid for my education. All because I wanted to do something more than what I was asked of. So that's being ambitious, because you can't go above and beyond unless you start improving yourself, right? Humility. What does that mean? Any guesses?
Having a balance. Maybe
What if I said to you, I'm no better than you guys? Humble, yeah. Now, a lot of people, you know, they assume, I guess you guys, you have role models, yeah? Maybe it your parents, be it somebody famous, be it someone not famous. You know, your role model could be that. The old lady who gets up at 6 in the morning and starts cooking chicken and selling it in the side road, right? Whoever your role model is. As you grow older and as you get more experience, people are going to treat you differently. Be it the title that you have, the power that you hold. When you acquire that knowledge and power, it's up to you what you do with it, right? Now you could be a complete arsehole. There's probably a lot of leaders out there who are right now. They've got this power and that. Or you can be very humble and have humility. To give you an example, in the bank, we had 17,000 employees in the HQ. And the CEO is this really nice and humble guy. You wouldn't even think he was the CEO because of the way he talked to people. He used to queue up. There used to be a Starbucks in the atrium inside the HQ. He used to queue up with the rest of us. Even though he didn't need to, they have their own executive floor with the restaurants up there. Very nice guy. Used to wear any clothes. You can wear whatever you wanted. Then he retired, and then they brought in this new guy from PwC. Not saying there's anything wrong with PwC, by the way. And he looked down on people. He was queuing up as well, and you say good morning to him, and he'll look at you like that. Like, who are you? Don't talk to me. Those are the people that you don't want to associate yourself with, even though, you know, media says they have all this power and they look famous and that, yeah? You want to go for the people that will respect you no matter what. And then there's this saying, you know, that the higher you go, you know, you just want to try and make sure you don't piss any people off, because when you come down, the road's a bit bumpy, right? You're going to meet those same people again. So be as nice and respectful to as many people as you can on your way up to the top. And stay that way. Political skills. What does that mean?
Managing power.
Yeah? Managing power.
Managing authority.
I like to say it's stakeholder management. What does that mean?
Negotiation.
Say?
Negotiation.
Where are you? Negotiation, yeah? Yeah?
Maintaining relation with all the stakeholders, your employees, your leaders, your even outside the companies, all the stakeholders, maintaining good relations with all of them.
Yeah, that's right. So in AIP Global, we have about 10 different brands of companies. Me being the group managing director, I have to make everybody happy, right? I have to go and meet these guys regularly and get updates about the business. They complain to me as well. So it's about managing those different leaders in those companies. That's stakeholder management. So the political skills are something that you'll learn as well. At the end of the day, you can't make everybody happy, even as a leader, right? It's impossible. You're managing 5 people, you're managing 100 people. It doesn't matter. As long as you can compromise and you can be diplomatic at the end of the day, that's what matters. Are we doing this one? I want to play another game with you actually, but not this one here because that's a different one. I'll leave it on here for now. So I want you guys on your paper to list as many games as you can in 2 minutes.
What kind of games?
Leave it up to you. Any game in 2 minutes. Go. stop probably. I think it's around 2 minutes, yeah. Who wants to share? There's no right or wrong answer. What about you? You list the games down?
Role play, hide and seek.
Okay.
Okay, and actually, I don't know so much English names, sorry.
No problem.
I don't know this English name.
Okay. So you defined games by categories, different types of games, yeah? Right, sort of like that. What about you?
Also, I defined games in different types, and I list some games such as computer games and mobile phone games, and some in sports such as volleyball or basketball.
Anyone else want to share? Did anyone name any specific games? Yeah? How about you?
Mario, Warcraft, Flappy Bird,
Uh-huh.
Halo, Minecraft. Yeah, things like that. Video games.
So we know what you play then.
Nah, I don't play games.
Basically, the exercise there is just to give you a very taste of the simulation you might expect when the company trusts you. What I mean by that is you'll get given a task or an objective, and it's up to you to define that. And I told you to list games, that's it. I didn't tell you what games, I didn't tell you platform games, I didn't tell you electronic games. I just said games. So it is up to you how you interpret the information that is given to you. And obviously you want to ask as well, but sometimes this is the information, this is the deadline, and you just have to do the best out of it. So that is an entrepreneur as well. Yeah, going back to what you said earlier as well, these are the kind of culture that an entrepreneur would thrive in. So to give you that, it all boils down to communication at the end of the day. So wherever you work, whatever you're doing, the cornerstone to that is communication. You need to have active support from your management. So your management, your superior, needs to encourage you to do things outside of what you're comfortable of doing. Reward risks. That means they will reward you for failing. Isn't that great? Because the more you fail, the more closer you get to learning, right? And to implementing and to innovating. Independence, they give you a lot of independence. So whenever you go for your work experience or internship, you want to be asking when you're selecting which company to work for, when you're speaking to the interviewer, right? Are you going to support me? Do I have some freedom to do this? Lack of bureaucracy and innovation as well. And obviously communication. I think that's the biggest thing here. How many of you have been before? Right. How many of you have been given the opportunity to ask questions at the end? Right. What kind of questions do you ask?
How's the environment like?
How's the environment like?
Inside the company?
Yeah.
What are the biggest failures that you used to face, and how did you solve it or have a problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you at the back? Yeah? You had an interview?
Usually quite specific about your job,
Yeah.
about requirements, and anything else that doesn't come up during the interview.
If any of you have been given the opportunity to ask questions in your interview, take it. It shows that you've listened, it shows that you've engaged with them. And ask challenging questions as well. Why should I work for you? Might be a bit arrogant, but you know, it shows that you have some kind of skills there as well. Well, what makes you different as a company from another company? You've got to start flipping that question around on them, right? Why should I work for you over, say, another company? Don't ask questions like, when's the holiday? Can I take Monday off? That doesn't help. But you should ask a lot of questions like, when can I get promoted? What team, what kind of environment am I going to be working in? Those kind of things. Don't ever not ask any questions, by the way, it's bad. And I want to go through these things with you as well quickly. So these are the things that you can start to do right now to shape you better. Sorry about that one. Persuasion. How many of you have persuaded somebody, do you know, to go to the cinema? Do you have friends? You might want to go clubbing tonight, and they go, I'm too tired, right? So how do you persuade them? Whatever skill you have to persuade them. So these are the type of things you can learn. Creativity. Such a broad word, but to narrow that down for you, creativity. I mean, never stop thinking of new ideas, in my opinion. Right? Balance. Now obviously, like I told you before, I used to work 7 a.m. to 9. That's not a good, healthy thing, right? 11, 12 hours, 13 hours a day. It's not healthy, right? So you need to have a balance. So yeah, okay, you can work Monday to Friday, a lot of hours, but take the weekend off. It's good for your health. It's not all about work. You've got to have fun, right? Listening. This is part of communication, by the way. Like that guy in the back who's sleeping right now. Maybe he's passively listening. There we go. 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yeah? Use it. Listen more, speak less. Information is power. Power is knowledge. And obviously how to fail. Does anyone know what the meaning fail means? Or what does it stand for, yeah?
Learn.
To learn, yeah? Fail is actually an acronym. First attempt in learning. So don't worry if you fail your exams. Because it's not the end of the world, you know. For me, I don't care what GPA you get. And I'm sure a lot of the other companies out there don't either. Especially the ones where it will encourage you to work like an entrepreneur. Ernst & Young, who's heard of Ernst & Young? Right, does anyone want to work for them? Maybe, consultants. They dropped their degree hiring criteria. So they're saying right now you don't need a degree to work for Ernst & Young. Not saying you're wasting your time right now or anything like that. It's very important you get your education, but it's not a be it or end all. I don't think I have anything else to share, but I want to ask you guys if you have questions based on the information I shared, because we've only got an hour. No? Nothing? Yeah?
You mentioned in the organization that are listed, I saw,
Yep.
that chat, reward risks, what does it mean?
So reward risk means that you're doing something for that company. They maybe lost some money, but they've promoted you perhaps for it. Or they're giving you a bigger salary, giving you more responsibility.
Why risk?
Risk?
Why risk?
Why risk? Did you say? Why risk? That's what they want. You can't innovate.
Sure, I'm supposed to be punished if I fail.
No, absolutely not. If a company punishes you for failing, then it's not the right company to work for. Yeah? They want to be rewarding that because, you know, otherwise you'll be too scared to do anything. And then, you know, if I'm a manager, yeah, and I'm looking and I have 10 employees there, and I see one that keeps making mistakes, maybe they're making different mistakes, I'll be obviously trying to train them and looking at ways to improve their training so they don't make those mistakes. But if somebody that gets everything perfect all the time, they're going to think they know it all, right? And then I'm not going to pay so much attention on that person. So you want to be experimenting as much as you can in the job, whatever job you're doing. If it's paperwork, if it's filling up the shelf, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You just got to try new things. Does that answer your question? Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I would like to ask some of your experience. You said that you used to work for a bank, right? So like, you work to means like from 7 to 9, right? So there might be some people saying that, hey, why did you do that? Like, so like, some people say that, why did you do that? Like, is it worth it? Or sometimes because of their question, you might feel like, am I doing the right thing? Or you might want to think twice for what you have done. So, but you know that you're doing the right thing, a good thing, but something make you feel like you're doing wrong. So how do you motivate yourself again?
If you don't do those kind of things, yeah, I did that, you know, because I wanted to better myself. I mean, they didn't encourage me to do it. I'm just there to do my job, right? I had to motivate myself, and that's where it all starts, really. Into becoming even an entrepreneur, you have to motivate yourself to do these things. You have to better yourself. And of course, there was risks involved as well. I nearly got fired. I introduced new systems into the bank. They thought I was stealing money, but I was saving them money. And they only realised that later, and then obviously then they promoted me, and then they reward you with all that material kind of rubbish, right? Give you a lot of money, give you awards, pay for your education, those kind of things. But obviously when you're in that moment, and you know, when there's a panel of people there and they're interrogating you and they're looking at you like a criminal, then obviously there are times like that when I go, why bother? What did I put myself through this shit for, right? So yeah, that happens a lot, but I don't think you can ever give up on it, on whatever the pursuit is. Because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There always, you know, I always say in the company as well, you know, there's times where we make mistakes, a lot of mistakes, more times than not. I'd say for every one success, we've made 10 failures or 10 things that have lost money for us. But it gets us closer to what we want to be doing, you know. So that's what I mean, you know, you've got to just keep experimenting. Think outside of the box. Think outside your comfort zone as well.
Okay, I have a question too. I like, okay, in a situation, like you're the good employee, but some of the employees are doing bad things, for example, like stealing the bank's money, or like they're changing the accounts or something like that. So if you like interfere with those kind of employee, how how did you try to make them think, I don't know that. I mean, how will you try to change your attitudes without hurting yourself?
Without interfering?
Yeah.
You've got to lead by example. In any job you're doing, you can be the boss, you can be the cleaner.
Yeah, I can be the boss too, or I can be the employee.
Yeah.
But if I saw someone doing bad thing, which I don't like, I mean, it doesn't affect me, but I think it's according to my ethical, I don't think it's not unethical. So you want to intervene with that, but you also don't want to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So how would you solve this kind of situation?
In that situation there, just to read what he was saying basically, you see one of your team members who's doing something that maybe is going against the integrity. stealing maybe, you saw someone stealing from them. Now you can either turn a blind eye, yeah, and it's not my problem, or you can do something about it, but obviously you don't want to confront them. So in that situation, talk to your boss, talk to your superior in private. This is one thing that actually doesn't happen a lot, you know, when you're in a team. I've never seen it, so where one of my staff would go, can I speak to you outside for a minute? It's always the boss, right, that wants to go, can I speak to you outside? But there is nothing wrong for you as a member of the staff to pick up the boss and say, I want to speak with you outside now, please. They'd actually they'd be respectful of you in that instance. I had that before in the company. The people weren't stealing, but we used to work in the call center, and obviously you pick up the calls a lot. So this one girl used to just keep hanging up. And I said, that's not right, you know, so I can't say anything to her. So I had to go and speak to my boss outside, and then she obviously told her off. So what did you tell? Inverse, yeah? Thank you, Zoe.
Okay, so like, I have a question. It's like, to foster like no characteristics in organization. So what kind of people that you recruit? And especially for the top leaders. And the second thing is like, do all the people that we recruit must be entrepreneur? Because like from my perspective, there are some like operation tasks in organization that we do not like need innovation. We need them at like accountability to get the work done.
In those situations, sure, yeah, you've still got to do work. You give it paperwork. You know, you're an administrator. I used to be one as well. But I used to complain a lot. So much paperwork, you know, and there was one time my boss said to me, you know, you just keep complaining a lot. If you think you can do better, then do it. Even if it means minimizing paperwork. There's little things, you know what I mean, that you can just pick up in, that you can improve. Be it the way, the morale of the team even, not improving the process that you do things. Does that make sense?
And how about the people that you recruit?
The people that we recruit. In our company we have something called a sustainable recruitment policy. Sustainable recruitment. So me, I don't hold any power when it comes to recruiting. Because when we're trying to recruit people, we want people on the ground, you know, the other people in the company to recruit the new people, interview the new people, and make the selection process, because they're the people that are going to be doing the job. I'm not the one doing the job, so I can't specifically say you'll be good for that job. It has to be the people doing the job who's recruiting. Does that make sense?
But like, do you like recruit like extremely innovative people, or?
These kind of characteristics and entrepreneur, you know, these are things that you develop over time. When I started working in the bank, I used to be completely introvert, shy, didn't ask questions, did my job. You know, but there comes a time when you go, well, why am I just doing that? I get paid every month, you know, I work 9, I work 5, but there's no joy in it. You know what I mean? You wake up and you go, I can't be bothered today. And if you can wake up every morning and go, I want to do this job, then it's not a job anymore.
But to any like for top leaders in organizations, like, do you consider anything when they promote that regarding like foster best environment in the organization?
You know, for me, it's the same with my people in the bank as well. I got picked up to be a manager, not because I was there 9 to 5 and did my job perfectly, but because I kept harassing my boss. Can I do this? Can I do that? I want to do that differently. Those kind of things. People who think more than they should be thinking. You know what I mean? Yeah. This person first, sorry. Yeah.
I just want to add to your previous question.
Yeah.
It was like, I think the long-term solution will have the good culture, being a good communication systems, being vertical and horizontal, however, even the humility part. I think that if you're not able to convey a message to the co-employee, that's just because your communication channels are not good enough to make sure the person is understanding what you're saying. So I think the long-term solution we having was good open communication channels.
Thank you. Absolutely very important for that. You have a question?
Yeah. I want to ask from the perspective of the top leaders of an organization, like this kind of
but Google, for instance, yeah, they have the Google X thing, but that's their own division. That's an isolated unit, so it doesn't really affect the whole business in a way because they separated the business. Now, in the normal system, you have a 20% downtime, I think they call it. And so basically, in the company, they give you half an hour in every week to work on whatever you want to work on for that company. That's how Gmail started. So that's isolating it. You're not giving them total freedom, right? You still got to do the job, but you're saying for half an hour every week, you get to do whatever you want to do. So you've limited it. Does that make sense? You had a question?
If the organization is really big and there are many levels of positions of the staff, so what are the ways to create the environment that's level bureaucracy? Are there any specific steps?
You know, for the big Thai corporations, this is the hardest thing to do because they don't have this kind of environment in there.
So they cannot really change because
Yeah.
if the big company wants to like change the environment, so it's really hard.
It is. Have you ever heard the saying, a fish rots from the head? Yeah? It's basically that. It stinks from the top down. So really, for this to happen, it needs to come from the top, or it needs to come from leaders who are forward-thinking. You can say it's almost impossible to change PTT's mindset or SCG or something like that. Yeah, it is. But it's got to start somewhere. I mean, if you want this kind of environment, I'd suggest you work for like, let's see, somewhere local here, like Google, right? Or Heidi, or Line. The new companies, you know, with the fresh perspectives and the fresh mindsets. There's a lot happening in Thailand right now in terms of entrepreneurship. You had a question?
So do you think that the diversity in inner employees is something very important as a managing director? And how would you manage that diversity?
Culture, diversity. We always try to get the staff to fill in, to do a personality test, although there's no indication of how they're going to perform. We get everyone to read, here's a tip for you by the way, you get read the Hofstede report. Hofstede Center. Yes, Hofstede. So if you're planning to go abroad, you're with AIESEC, I guess, you do your jump out program, right? You do an internship in another country. It's probably best to search for what that culture is like in that country, and then there's a comparison index as well there. So if you're Thai, you can put Thai, and you're going to go to say Japan, then it will compare what it's like to work in Japan versus Thailand. That shows that you've actually done some homework and then you haven't really been sensitive to the culture as well. I reward diversity more than anything else. We have such a diverse team in my company, in our company, in the group. There's Thai people in there, there's someone from Congo, there's Indian, Estonian, Russian, Italian. Such a diverse mix, and it's wonderful to work. Malaysians as well. So I always reward diversity in the company.
How do you manage it?
Communication. Yeah, that's all it is. You know, when you're actually speaking to somebody instead of just second guessing them. Oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings or something. You know, you can. Those things do happen sometimes, but it's just about communicating with them sincerely, right? You know, one to one. I want to talk to you, I've got this problem.
So right now your company mainly does
Our company here, basically we have a couple of schools in our system, in our portfolio. One's a Thai language school, one's a management school. Then we have an internship program as well, so we bring in European students into Thailand. to intern here into different companies.
So you're like an agent, right? So
Yeah, we started off as an agent, but now we have our own assets.
Right.
Yeah, so
And how many years has your company been?
we started this in 2011 officially, and with this company here, the group, started beginning of this year. Yeah. You should just have a look at the site and just watch the video. Even sometimes I get a bit confused with what we're doing. There's so much different things in there.
Like mini education, right?
It's all, everything is solely focused around student development, advancing student development. So we're always thinking of ways to give the opportunities to the students to develop themselves outside of the classroom. So we have an incubator as well. Does anyone know what an incubator is? Yeah. 1, 2, yeah. So an incubator is a company, it's basically somewhere that you can nurture a business. So if a student has a great idea, and we like it, it's innovative, and it supports the community, then we would look at investing into that idea in terms of money, in terms of giving them the opportunities and the networking as well. So those are the things that we do. Yeah. Any other questions? No? You can email me, by the way, at any time. I will respond within 24 to 48 hours. My email is Simon @ AIPGlobal.co. At AIPGlobal.co, not .com, .co. And I will respond. That's another thing that we do very, very well in our company is efficiency as well. We email within maximum 48 hours. Yeah.
Can you write it for me?
Can I write it for you? Oh yeah? I had people before. I used to know this chairman for a law firm, and he wrote this book. It's called the Lawyer's Legal System or something like that. And in his day, he said rule number 38: always, 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 always respond to emails, even if it's just to acknowledge receipt. So we tested it. I emailed him, never replied. Hypocrite. But you can try it with me. I always make sure, when you reply to an email, it has that sign that goes back that you've replied. So I always make sure at the end of the day, all my emails have that arrow. Otherwise, it will just annoy me. I need to reply to people. So. And any time you need advice, you can email me. I try to make myself available. You can come in and visit us at our school or our incubator.
Where's your office?
We have a back office in Punawiti.
Oh,
Yeah. Some people don't even know where that is, but basically it's outside of Bangkok. Joking, you need a passport to get there. Yeah.
So the incubator is just for the kids from the school themselves?
Any student. They could even be an intern who's come here to work and they love Bangkok so much, they want to stay.
So you provide space, funding, what exactly you provide?
Working space, sometimes some funding to get their idea into an actual business, mentorship, the network opportunities as well, those things. So, when you look at our company, everything that we've done and everything that we continue to do is solely, and then what? That's our mantra, and then what? Because there's no stopping from just placing a student in an internship. But they're not going to get much out of that, right? Yeah, sure, they get the experience, but how can we help them further? That's the whole mission of our company. But I don't want to be selling that to you. Obviously, you want to have a look at it yourself. Any other questions? Leadership? Anything? Oh, a tip for you, by the way. Try to go out networking as much as you can as well. Be at any kind of event. I've rarely seen students go outside because it's their comfort zone, right? When you go to study or whatever, you go to McDonald's, you do it at your dorm, you do it in your classroom, you do it in a library. Why not try to go to one of these networking events? The chambers have it all the time, in the evening. My colleague Ken, he's the director for the Singapore Thai Chamber of Commerce. So they have monthly networking events that you can come at a subsidized cost. So normally the non-member price is 500 baht, and we know that is a lot of money, especially for students. So we've managed to develop this thing for the Singapore Thai called the Student Development Initiative. So you can come in and for 200 baht.
Email Simon beforehand.
Yeah, email me if you want to come. They have them, you know, monthly. You have food, you have drink. This is only applicable to fourth year students, yes? Or third or fourth?
Third, fourth, and 1 year after you graduate.
Third and fourth and 1 year after you graduate. But I would try to get out as much as you can to involve yourself in activities outside of university life. Go and volunteer in a soup kitchen. You know? There's nothing wrong with you. Who has a LinkedIn profile, by the way? Okay, that's good. I'm going to be quite hypocritical. I don't even have one, but I'm saying to you, you need to get one. You need to get a LinkedIn profile. If you aspire to work in Google when you graduate, let's say, connect with somebody on LinkedIn who works at Google and see if you can go and have a coffee with them. There's nothing wrong with that. If they don't reply, then you know it's not a company you want to work for. So they should be helping you support, you know, with what you're doing, your development. So try to connect with people in the working environment as much as you can and start showing some interest. Right? And you'll be more employable. So that's it. Again, you need anything, just email. I will reply. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.